Hi everyone, and thank you to everyone for joining today's open discussion forum. This is our 6th online webinar from QNIC, Adapting to Changing Times. And the purpose of these online sessions is to allow and encourage our members to engage in conversations about particular issues and start to learn and share good practice within inpatient adolescent mental health wards virtually. Before we start today's session, I'm just going to run through a few housekeeping points. Please ensure your microphone is kept on mute as your camera is turned off unless you're speaking. This session will be recorded and we will share the recording with the slides or any links after the session. You can contribute to the discussion by raising your hand and we'll let you know when it's your turn to speak. If you're joining by telephone, please press star followed by 6 to mute or unmute yourself. If you prefer not to speak, but you still have a burning question, please send it to qnic@rcpsych.ac.uk, which is our main inbox, which will be monitored and sent through to us live, and we will read them out and answer them live. We will try to discuss as many questions as we can during the session, time allowing. So today, we are pleased to welcome our presenters from Pebble Lodge in Dorset Healthcare, Luke Webb, who is a transitions nurse, Tash Moores, acting ward manager, and Carly Ann Taylor, who will be steering the focus away from COVID-related matters to share an overview of the recent changes at their service, how they overcame the challenges presented to them in the last few months, and some of the successes that have arisen out of adapting to new ways of working. So, without further ado, I hand over to Luke, Tash, and Carly Ann.
Excellent. Thank you very much. A lovely introduction there. So the way we want to do this, we've got a few topics that we'd like to share with you guys. And as we go through it, please put your hand up if you've got any questions. The more interaction, the better. We want you guys to be a part of this. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with a thing that we do at Pebble Lodge and in Dorset Healthcare, and it relates to the supporting parents and carers with of those who self-harm. And the course is called FLASH, and it stands for Families Learning About Self-Harm. Now, the FLASH course originated in Essex, and it started with the Ministry of Parenting, and there's hopefully you can see a link to their website there. And the Ministry of Parenting created this because they felt that there was a huge gap between the support that the young people get for their self-harm behaviours compared to what support the parents get. Charlotte, can we hear you? Is everyone right there?
It shows your screen, so you need to keep it on the website.
Okay, sorry. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're sort of talking to no one then, that's the thing. Okay, so FLASH is a 10-week program designed specifically for parents and carers of those whose young people self-harm. The structure of the course is one session every week, which lasts 2.5 hours. And to get trained to be a facilitator, you need to work with the Ministry of Parenting, and they're absolutely amazing at supporting staff and becoming facilitators. What we found is in the past, when we've done FLASH, we've been doing it in Dorset Healthcare for around 5 years now. Groups increase, and the feedback from the groups is absolutely incredible. I believe it's one of the few courses or programs that health services run to maintain and hold stability for the parents for around 3 months. What we found is with the COVID, obviously that's put a halt on a lot of our groups. There is a lot of side projects going on to online sort of groups that we will be looking into, because we want to make sure it's accessible for everybody. But the exciting thing is now that as things are opening up with COVID, we are starting to work on how we can get it back live, and working with the parents and carers, because we know that it is a massive massive void that needs to be filled. What we're also doing is, throughout the last year or two, a lot of the facilitators have gone on and moved on to different jobs. So a colleague of mine and myself will be training up 2 members of staff from every community team and also the inpatient team to become facilitators, so that we can make sure there's more courses available out there for parents and carers. I think the good thing about Flash is that it is on our self-harm care pathway, so it is one of the most popular courses, and people do keep coming back for more. All I can say is, with regards to the Ministry of Parenting, there's a lot of courses that they do provide. There's another one called Stop, which is a teen parenting guide, I suppose, which doesn't have the self-harm part of it. But I really do want to promote the Ministry of Parenting and the work that they do with us. So moving forward, we're going to be having more staff trained up in it, and we're going to have more courses available. We have done weekend workshops, and they've been over 4 weeks, more intense. The most popular ones are in the evening. So if I can just come back to the video, if anybody has any, I suppose, questions or queries about the Flash course, then please do let us know. It's something that we're really passionate about and want to move forward with, and we know that the parents really do enjoy it. The feedback is incredible, and the good thing about it is we don't teach a great deal. We facilitate discussion to talk about self-harm and open up the things that they are maybe too frightened to speak about. So we really love it. That's a bit about the Flash course. So is there any, we can't see much on the screen at the moment. So what we will do, I don't know if anyone can hear us still. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool, thank you. So what we'll do is, that's just a bit about the Flash. Please let us know if you're interested in finding out a bit more information. Their website is ministryofparenting.com, I believe. So please check them out. Over to Tash.
Lovely. So I'm going to move on to a recent employment we've had on the ward. So a few months ago, we kind of had discussions within our team and realised that we really lacked in terms of our ability to carry out sort of more physical health roles. And we wanted to know how we could implement that more on the ward. Obviously, being a children and adolescent unit, we have a lot of self-harm and a lot of sort of young people that come through our service that might have pre-existing health conditions that we kind of overlook here because we focus more on their mental health. So we put an advert out for a general nurse, and she has just started about 2 weeks ago now. And her role is to kind of try and put the focus back onto mental health, put the focus back onto physical health whilst they're here. So what she's trying to do with the team is to set up sort of like a clinic on a Monday morning. And within that time, we do sort of a more thorough physical check. So making sure we're getting their height and weight, bloods if they need to be done, routine ECGs if they're on medications that might need that. She's also going to take a lead on wound care. We noticed over the past months we've had lots and lots of occasions where we've had to transport our young people to a general hospital for things like stitches and gluing, when we feel like actually it could be managed on the ward, and it's sort of less distressing for both young people, and there's less risks associated without having to take them off the unit. So she's lovely. She's very keen to kind of get stuck in here. We also want to try and minimise kind of the barrier that we have between the mental health and sort of general nurses in the hospital, because that's something that we've certainly experienced over the past few months when we've had to take our young people down to general hospitals. I'm sure most people have experienced the same. We're kind of getting questioned as to why we've taken them there. And it kind of made us think, actually, do we need to be taking them to general hospital for things like a bump on the head or stitches that we could sort of manage in-house? So yeah, she's going to be doing that on a Monday morning. And she's also going to be going on lots of additional training, and then she's going to then be coming back and teaching the nurses on the ward to kind of skill some of us up as well. That's it, really. Yeah. Catchy on general nurse.
Yeah, she's great. I think one thing that she would like to know is if there's any other general nurses out there that in inpatient services, to see if we can maybe link people up and then look at different people's roles and how they've been adapted. So I know that she will be setting something up and a question out on the QNIC forum, but hopefully through this we'll be able to get some feedback as well. Okay, we're done now?
I think so.
Lovely. What we'll do is, is there any questions in regards to her role at all? Nothing at the moment? That's fine. So one thing that we've... Go on.
There you go.
No? Okay. There's a project that we've been working on for quite some time with a local college, and it's Brockenhurst College down our way. And there's a place called Hengsbury Head that that's Hengsbury Head down this way.
Share this one. Go back on Steam.
Okay. So we're over this way, and then Hengsbury Head is a lovely place down here. Here we go, down here. So the team at the Hengsbury Head Outdoor Education Centre, we had good links with them before, quite some time ago, through scouting and outdoor activities with the young people. And one of the members of staff down there really wanted to help getting young people with mental health conditions out on the water, doing activities and being engaged in learning skills that they can take on post Pebble Lodge to support them with their recovery. And the gentleman down there, he got married, and instead of having toasters and new kettles as presents, he asked for donations, and that donation money went to Pebble Lodge to pay for a certain amount of activities down at the Hengsbury Head Centre. And it's sort of evolved over the years. It's evolved quite well. They go down there every Monday. They go with staff, and they take part in things like they have fires and do cooking over a fire. They do archery, rock climbing, sailing, paddleboarding, kayaking, canoeing. But one of the main ones was what they really did enjoy was using a power boat and getting out on the water on a power boat. As things move forward, we're getting more people that are want to get involved in it. But what we wanted to share with you was a small video clip. It's only a couple of minutes long, of an ex-patient who's working closely with this sailability scheme, and he just wants to share a bit of his story on what this project did for him. So if I go to share this one, yeah, you got this sound thing. So bear with me a sec. And this is Jack's story.
Hi, my name's Jack. I'm 18 years old. So I tried to commit suicide, and due to that I was put in a psychiatric unit where I was there for 7 months. While I was there, I got the opportunity to come here to Hengsbury Head Centre and sail. It was great because once a week I could go out on either a rib or a dinghy, and I could forget where I ended up, and I could just be free and enjoy myself for an hour or two. Once you get in a boat, you're fully involved in where that boat's going, what it's doing, and it just helps you take your mind off things. So like if you're having troublesome thoughts and things like that, it's really useful because it's just like freedom and it's like your responsibility. Before I went into hospital, I struggled with self-confidence, a goal of what to do, and was just really lost. I had little aim, I'd lost career motivation, and I just didn't really see a point. And I always found it was very difficult a lot of the time to find a reason to carry on. And it was just a constant battle of going from the next day to the next, just trying to keep myself going, because I just didn't see a point. So I've now been out of hospital 4 months, and I am doing great. I've got a job, and I've been doing up my boat ready for the sailing season, and I'm looking forward to getting into sailing. I'd say there's no harm in giving it a go, and I love it. It's such a release, and you get to just do what you want and not whatever like you're restricted to or whatever your mind is telling you. You can just be free.
Did everyone get to see that video? Okay. Yes, excellent. So we find that really, like, it's great seeing like the stories of people that have come through Pebble and the things that we've shown them and the experiences that we've been able to give them. As the project continues, the team at Hengstbury Head have actually set up themselves a charity, and that charity is going to be supporting more people, more people in the community, more young people with mental health conditions, and their charity is Head Out. Some lovely music there, which is turn off. Sorry. There we go. So there, yeah. So Head Outdoors is a charity that's locally set up for young people with mental health conditions, and it was inspired by the work that we've done at Pebble Lodge. All the staff have done for a mental health first aid training and are keen to learn more. One of the next steps is what we're looking at, along with the Bournemouth Forum, working with peer specialists, is to see what the offer can be for people post Pebble Lodge, so that once they've been integrated into that service while they're here as an inpatient, that when they become discharged, how can they continue getting out in the water, learning those skills, because we know it's really important. The feedback has been incredible. We're looking at different funding streams to help out support this, and we do hope it will continue. So I mean, it's been a long journey to get to where we are. There's been a lot of, in regards to just the paperwork and the logistics of it has been quite difficult. So if anyone out there wants to start something like this, then please let us know, because we've learned a lot along the way. The good thing as well that it's not just us at Pebble Lodge and Brockenhurst College. We also link in. We work really closely with our school here, which is the Key School. So it's sort of like a trio. We all work together. We all support it, and because we know the value of it, and we can see the value in how it supports the young people. What we also know is that it's not just beneficial for the patients, but it is also beneficial for the staff. It gives, we can be open in showing our own anxieties about getting on the water, driving a speedboat, going paddle boarding, which is really good for the young people to see. And it's also a great time that we can just be, humans and just have a bit of fun. So there is jumping off of the boat and having a bit of a swim and water fights, which is really good fun. So yeah, it's a great project. It's something we're really passionate about, and we really look forward to seeing how it does evolve over the next couple of years. So that's the Hengstbury Head project down at Pebble Lodge. Natasha, come on. Take your parents enough, yeah? We're going to do wrist cuddles. Go for it.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk about wrist cuddles that we do at Pebble Lodge, and we do them for every young person that comes here. It's usually between 4 to 6 weeks between them. However, if something happens and we feel like we need to bring it forward, we will do. So a wrist cuddle is where we all gather together and we meet for a reason. So we want to discuss risk, to see how we can help somebody, how to minimise risk. So for example, I'll use a young person as an example. So for her, it was to reduce risk to self. So we'd all meet and we'd have certain criteria that we would discuss. So that would be the purpose, what's gone well, what we could improve. We'd have a patient debrief, feedback from a carer. We'd have review of incidents, background situation, and we'd talk about how to move forward. And we found that the benefit of having wrist cuddles, it increases consistency between the teams and how to bring teams working together. We have a MDT approach whilst doing it, so that's valuable to have everybody's view on this. It gets the carers involved and the young person involved, and it helps the team reflect and review on any incidents. It leaves everything open for discussion, and it's also time to give ourselves credit for any good work we do. I think sometimes as professionals we meet and try and find out how something has gone wrong, but actually it's very important to see how things have gone well, and then we can learn from that as well. It's all very good for team building as well, and ultimately it's great for the young person.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah.
About risk? So who would lead the risk huddle?
So the nursing team would lead the risk huddle, but we would invite, so for example, consultant, sometimes social care would call in, CCO, support workers. We'd like to invite support workers as well. Obviously, they're invaluable. Their opinion is very invaluable.
Nursing students come down quite a bit as well, and students feedback when we have sort of mid-interviews and stuff with students, they feedback that it's something they haven't come across before, and we know of a lot of students that have moved on to placements following that, and they brought it up and said, oh, when I went to Pebble, you know, we did a risk huddle and it was really beneficial. So it has kind of spread across the rest of Dorset Healthcare on some of the adult wards, and it's just a really good way, isn't it, to just all sit down and have that time away from the ward. You're not sort of pressured in that handover period to make those quick decisions of, you know, how are we going to do this, and also it's more led by nursing staff, isn't it? We have ward rounds and stuff, but as I'm sure you're aware, like ward rounds are more, you know, medical led really, so it's more for the nursing team to sit down. At the end as well, we kind of look at everything we've discussed, and from then we create care plans as an MDT, and get everyone's opinions, and we then kind of then delegate out the tasks, don't we? So who's going to do the care plan, who's going to phone the parents, who's going to make this behavioural support plan or diaries, things like that. And yeah, we always start off with what we did well, because we think it's really important to start the risk huddle off with a positive, because like Carly-Ann said, normally we're doing it for a reason, so it normally is because we've had a lot of incidents from that person, and I think we can get really drawn into focusing on the negatives, so we like to start with that positive. So we tend to do it after team meeting, don't we, each week? We tend to have team meeting, and as most people are down there, we then just lead on to a risk huddle. So we try and do one a week, but like you said, yeah, each young person will have one every 4 to 6 weeks unless there's sort of an increased need. And more recently, we've got one this week actually where their community team are coming in because they want to be more involved. So they're going to come in and join one of our risk huddles, one of our young people. That's it. Has anyone got any questions about risk huddles? No? You're all very quiet. I'm going to quickly talk about advocacy. So we have a lady who works for Action for Children, who is an independent advocate, and we try to get her sort of heavily involved on the ward. And what she does is she comes in every Friday, and we have a community meeting, and within that meeting it's all the young people. It's led by the advocate, but our ward manager and all the sort of staff on the ward will also go in, and the idea is to have a ward manager in there so that if anything is kind of brought up, it's kind of discussed there and then in front of the young people. So the minutes are then written up and they're delivered to the team following this for everyone to see, and we've had really good feedback from that. The young people kind of go into that and they say that they feel like they're listened to by having someone that's independent from the ward. They kind of listen to all their worries, and one thing that we're really proud of is that we continued it through COVID. So throughout COVID we sort of set up either Teams up there, or we took up a phone and she phoned in and we put on loudspeaker, because obviously they had a lot of worries throughout COVID, so we managed to keep that going throughout, which they found really useful. We also have like staff feedback and patient feedback boxes, and that's read out in the community meeting, any sort of complaints and compliments, and they're kind of read out aloud so that we can discuss those. The positives of having an advocate come onto the ward is that obviously the advocate is there to sort of be on the young person's side. She's always very good about informing them, make sure they've had their rights done. She always offers to go to any meetings with them. So if they want to go into professionals meeting, she offers to sit in with them. Some of them might not have a very good relationship with mum or dad, so she will offer to sit in with them. Yeah, and just making sure that the young people understand what the professionals are saying. She's very good and very contactable, so her number's up on the wall, and the young people are often phoning her, and they'll sort of speak to her about queries we have, and then she'll call us, and anything that sort of young people are unhappy about, they feel like they're not being listened to, she takes that on board and she sorts that out, so that's really positive.
I think the good thing about it as well is that the young people have a good relationship with her. Yeah. So that, although we have a discussion about things in a group about what's happening at Pebble, we also use her skills in having one-to-ones with the young people to see like how she can support them, or listen to their voice about how they can move forward, and with regards to discharge planning and any difficulties they are having with discharge, that she will speak up for them. And it's really vital that she has that good relationship with them, because some of the topics they have to talk about can be quite sensitive. But she's a very valuable member of the team, and we do like having her in, don't we?
I think at the moment, for an example, there's one of our young people is waiting a social care placement, and we've been kind of pushing that, and she's registered as a delayed discharge because of this. And the young person and family have had lots of concerns with social care, and the advocacy of she's sitting down with our young person and writing out an official complaint, and she's supporting her through that, and they've got like sort of solicitors and stuff involved. But it's kind of come away from the ward, and she's taken that upon herself. So yeah, it's really good. We get a lot of feedback from carers and families that they say that she's really supportive, and they're really happy that we have her on the ward.
Excellent. Yeah, so are we all right to carry on? We keep going for a bit? Yeah, okay. So what we want to do is we want to talk about our parents' evening and our parent support that we have happening at the moment, and how we've had to adapt our service over the past few months and the difficulties that we've had. So the history behind Parents' Evening, it was started a fair few years ago, really, and we came to a QNIC conference and talked about it. Back then it was every 3 weeks. It was working well, and we've continued that successfully throughout the years. The format of the session is very laid back. It's very much about the parents, and we really want them to see us as humans, and not just the people that are with their children while they're in here. It's very, very relaxed. Obviously, as standard, there's tea and biscuits. Throughout the session, we talk about what is happening at Pebble. If there's difficulties with communication, it might be because the unit's busy. It might be due to something else that's happening, and it's really we're really transparent with what's happening at Pebble Lodge. There's a you say we did part, where the parents will have the opportunity to say, actually, we find this quite frustrating, or the seats in that area are quite uncomfortable, and we don't like waiting there. So then we give ourselves, and that's our mission. We've got a few weeks to correct that. For example, one of them would be such a small thing that we just didn't think about was the heating in the airlock. Parents found it really cold, and having to wait in there for their young people was quite, it was not a nice experience. So very short, let's turn it up. We've got some things in there for, books in there that they can read, more cushions to make it a bit more comfortable for them. And even the adaptation of one of the rooms we've got at Pebble Lodge, the parents picked the colours, the carpet, just so it could be their part, their room that they can feel comfortable in. Usually they are face to face. And what I'll do is I'm going to hand you over to Carly Ann, who is our parent lead, and she's going to tell you about what we've done throughout COVID and how we've managed it to keep it going.
Okay, so prior to COVID, we would meet face to face, and we have a chapel on site. We'd meet there. As Luke said, there'd be refreshments. And when COVID restrictions came in, we were really, really proactive in not letting Parents' Evening stop. It's where the parents can have their voice, and we can really support them, and they've said themselves that they really benefit from it. So to continue Parents' Evening, initially we did it over conference call. I think we did 1 or 2 like that, and we found that it was good that we could all stay in touch together. It was positive, but where you couldn't really see each other, you'd find that we were talking over each other, or we'd wait for somebody else to talk, and there were lots of gaps. So we tried to do it. We then went on to Teams, and that worked really well. We could see each other, and I think it was just a little bit more personal. So we did that for a few weeks, and then just yesterday we went back to going face to face. The chapel's big, so we could still maintain distance, and last night went really well. It was really positive. We had lots of parents come last night. We have an agenda every time, which we'll type up, and any ideas that the team has, we'll put it on our agenda. It's a very informal meet-up, and we discuss, what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, what are unmet needs of your children, what would you like to see in Parents' Evening. So some of the things that we do have in Parents' Evening, we'd have a consultant would come and talk about his role. We would talk about our role, or we'd say, for example, we've got a family therapist, and our family therapist is going to come and speak to them, and just give that more personal touch of what we offer here. The parents have said that they enjoyed it more last night because it was face to face, which is good, and that's something we're going to continue. Something else we've also started is at the end of our session, we've agreed that actually the staff will leave and allow the parents to have some time together and like build that network with each other. Some of them are going through similar things, and actually they've said that they find that really beneficial. So that's something we're doing. So we also discuss ideas like what they would like to see on the ward and how we can do them. So if they come up with an idea, that's great, we embrace that, but then we ask them to brainstorm with us what that idea is going to look like. We've also discussed last night in parents' evening about moving on and being more supportive of the parents. Obviously their child is here, they're trusting us with their children, and we want to be able to support them even more. So we discussed last night about a different kind of care package for the parents, whereby it's even more personal than parents' evening, and we would meet them outside of parents' evening just to get them more involved in their care. Have you got more to say about the future?
No, I think the future is in the hands of the parents, I suppose. That we want to talk about, we want to evolve what we can do for parents and carers. Whether that be training, whether it be like their input on how we manage or how we work on the ward. But we would like to, maybe have a look at, a sort of an admission package for parents is what we talked about. So that actually when their young person is admitted to Pebble Lodge, that actually we see them as people that we can work with as well. And that could be things like looking through, what do they have any needs they want, what their worries, what their fears. Can that support any training we can offer, any courses that they can go on, and just really getting them involved? Because what we do, we are passionate about working with parents, and parents can feel quite, not necessarily left out, but not a part of the recovery pathway of their young person, but they're vital to it because they're the people that are going to be supporting them post Pebble Lodge.
Yeah, so last night we did get some feedback from the parents about that idea, and so we had parents there that children were admitted some time ago, so they didn't get that opportunity to have that, and each of the families in those circumstances said that they felt they would have really benefited from that. So they came up with some ideas of what they would like that to potentially look like, and I think we're going to meet as a team and discuss how we're going to put that into action.
The great thing is we've also had a lot of parents who don't want to let go, so they may, it comes to the time where I suppose their time ends with parents' evening, but they want to continue coming back. And we've recently had a couple of parents that want to come back to sort of share their story from a parent-carer point of view, to give a sort of message of hope, and so that they can ask them questions. How did they manage? What did they go through? Is there any tips or tricks that they found? What courses, what books did they read? So it's really good. And we really enjoy working with parents and carers. And I suppose an add-on from that is we've just been asked recently from the social services teams to see if we can do some training for their carers, so fosters, that sort of thing, just so that we can try and upskill everybody in the community to prevent an admission into Pebble Lodge. Because although we do a lot of work with our people here, we also want to make sure we're supporting the local community with the young people that they've got out there as well. So I suppose one of the questions we've got is if anybody is doing a parents' evening or any parents who like parenting work, if there's any specific roles in supporting parents and carers, then please let's get in touch, because we want to share ideas, we want to work together, because you may be doing something that we can work with, and vice versa. I think it'd be a shame to reinvent the wheel. So please get in touch. Has the QNIC leads got any questions about that?
Yes, in terms of this parents' evening model and finding the ideal day, do you find that it's difficult necessarily to figure out the perfect date and time? Because at some services they may struggle with attendance or accessibility, especially in these circumstances that we're going through at the moment. So I wondered how you navigated around that, if you encountered any difficulty with that.
Okay, so far we actually haven't had much difficulty around that. We tried to do it on a Wednesday. We just tried to stick to that one day. It could be at a different date each month, obviously, but so far we haven't had anyone say, oh no, that doesn't work. And what we do is, well, on a parents' evening, I think every time that I've done one, I've asked, has this time been okay for you? Is this suitable for childcare for your other children? You know, does this work for you? Because if it doesn't, we can move it, we can agree as a group. But so far, we haven't encountered that, which has been really good. But then, you know, we can be flexible. If that, just say, you know, people couldn't attend, we try and accommodate them because we want them there. It's about them. It's led by them.
I think what we found is a lot of parents will actually change their plans because they see the value in parents' evening. And you know, there's been some extreme times where people have changed big plans to come because they really want to be there to be a part of it. And it's really good. It is really good.
I think as well, because it's only like once every 3 or 4 weeks, it's kind of easy to kind of change your plans for one night a month, and that's what's made people come, because it is just once a month. It's more important that they go to that, because if they kind of miss one, then it's going to be 2 months or 6 weeks until they go again. But yeah, it's just kind of setting them up for their own support network, you know, as carers. Yeah, it's been really positive.
Have we got any other questions?
Any other questions there? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll move on to, I suppose, our final piece. We've done a lot of talking, I'm aware of that. So I want to just, I've been asked to talk a bit about my role, and I'm the transitions nurse over at Pebble Lodge. I've been in this post for around 2 years, and there was someone in the post before me as well for a year. And the idea of the transitions role, actually, part of it came from a parents' evening. We had an incredible turnout. I think there was about 30 that turned up that week, and it was a discussion around initially the transition between CAMS and adult services, and also inpatient to community. And this is where sort of like the creativity came from to create this role. So my role is I'm based at Pebble Lodge. I'm not in the numbers at Pebble Lodge. I very much cover Dorset as a whole and work with both inpatient and community teams. So when a young person is admitted, I will start working with them to gain a sort of therapeutic relationship with them. I'll be sort of like the voice between inpatient and community services. So the supporting of setting up of CPAs, working with that community nurse to look at what is the aftercare, what does that look like, and also with social services of, you know, what support can we put in, what does that look like, how can we move forward with this person's care. I support young people usually around 6 weeks post Pebble, depending on who they have involved. Sometimes if they've got a lot of professionals involved, or they've been at Pebble Lodge for a short amount of time, then there's less of a need to be transitioned back into the community services. But what we do find is that young people that have been in inpatient services for some time really do struggle with getting back into the normality and life of community services. Feedback has been good. People feel that actually traditionally going from 24/7 care to maybe 1 or 2 visits a week was not enough to hold them. So that's when I suppose I'm very flexible. I can be very flexible in my role. That I could see them 3 times a week. I could see them once a week, and drop off as person centered when they don't need me anymore. Then I can end up moving along. Some of the stuff that I've done within this role is supporting people with endings of work that we've done at Pebble, so whether that's going through employment, maybe benefits support, and passing over any sort of work that we've done at Pebble to make sure it's completed in community teams. Now what we do know is that in this role with the discharges and admissions, it does go up and down, so I'm very lucky that I can do support with supervisions, coaching, training, and also the flash facilitation as well. One thing that we have worked really hard on is working with local hospitals, and we've successfully done training for all the hospitals, main hospitals in Dorset, offering self-harm and suicide training, with an aim to prevent admissions to Pebble Lodge, because if they're more skilled up, then you can support them faster and better in the community. And feedback's been really good. And like I said earlier, we've got social services. They've asked for certain specific training as well, because that all helps us, I suppose, with keeping people out of inpatient services and keeping them in the community. So it's an exciting role. It's a very different role. It can be quite hard to narrow down at times, but obviously it's my job, so I believe it's valuable. So I don't know what my colleagues feel.
The parents do as well, don't they? So we have a young person recently admitted, spoke to his mum today, and she said, "What is a transitions nurse?" And I explained Luke's role, and she said, "You know, I think I find that really, really helpful, because you are right. You're looking after my son, and then when he comes home, then what?" And obviously there will be a community team, but I think the transition between the two is so important as well, not only for the young person, but for their parents' peace of mind as well.
Like Luke said as well, being very flexible. Obviously inside 9 to 5 they probably could access a lot of support, but after sort of 5 o'clock and over the weekends and bank holidays, the support in the community is very limited. So Luke's able to kind of, you know, change his diary around and you know, offer those support when we have a bank holiday weekend and there's no professionals really for 4 days, and Luke's able to say, well, I'll come and see you on that Sunday, just for them. Yeah, I think it's really beneficial for both the young people and the parents just to feel that they're more supported. And it reduces their anxieties of discharge as well, because they feel like they're not going to be on their own and they've got that link. And because Luke's able to build that relationship before they're discharged, you know, CCOs do come in, but it's kind of a very formal 1 hour sort of visit, isn't it? Whereas Luke's around on the wards, they see him walking up and down the ward, out in the garden with them, going out on trips. It's more of a genuine, you know, relationship that they build, which really helps post-discharge.
I think one of the challenges that have been, I know that I put a question on the QNIC forum to see if there's any other transitions nurses out there, and it's quite a rare role. I know that there's a colleague in Ireland who I've been in touch with through QNIC, and that's been really valuable, but her role is specifically more for going from CAMS to adult services in the community, whereas mine would be specifically from inpatient to community services. So the role is going to continue to evolve. There was 2 of us. Unfortunately, my colleague has moved on to a different role. So we're going to see how we can adapt things and move forward, and continue to be creative and supporting young people with their transitions out of hospital. So what I'd like, if anyone's got any questions about this role or thinking about setting up a similar service, then please get in touch, because I'd like to learn from you just as much as hopefully I can help you out learning as well. So is there any questions from the QNIC guys there, or anybody else?
We've had a question come through. Are you familiar with the transition care plans produced by NHS Scotland, and do you use your own?
I am not aware of the Scotland care plans, but I'd love to hear more about it. And if other people are doing similar work up in Scotland, please, yes, let's get in touch and see if we can share some thoughts. Any others?
We also had another question that I know you've been in post for 2 years, Luke, and before that there was another role, but have you seen a reduction in the amount of readmissions following more successful transitions to community services? Yes, there
has been a reduction. In the time that me and my colleague have been doing it, the pair of us, though the ones that have had transition support are less likely to come back into services. We did have an interesting time where, because it's not a must, you don't have to work with the transition team. If you don't want that service, then you don't have to have it. But there were 2 young people that didn't have the service, and they found it very difficult going back into their community, back into the community teams and living life again, and they did end up relapsing, come back in. So the statistics on it, I'd love to know more about it. I think that's something that you know, maybe as a project for myself, I'd like to learn more about and put myself forward for that. But there has been a reduction in readmissions. I'm confident with that. Yes. The good thing as well is not just, like I said, it's not just the young people that we work with the families. And at the moment, I am working with the brothers and sisters of a family just to support them, because what we don't want to happen is them to, you know, end up having any ill health because of the things that they've seen within the family home. Because we know that if we can prepare and upskill the families, then that also leads to, you know, prevents readmissions coming through as well. Thank you for the question.
everything that we were going to discuss today. We've gone through all the topics.
So is it over to Matthew now as a goodbye?
Okay, thank you to Luke, Tash and Carly-Ann for that wonderful summary of all the things going on in Pebble Lodge. I'm sure there are questions, so please do send them in over the next week and we will answer them to qnic@rcpsych.ac.uk. We aim to ensure that you stay as connected as possible, and we hope this generates some helpful discussion both within and between your trusts. Don't forget to sign up to Knowledge Hub, which is now our primary resource space. We've moved from Dotmailer, whilst we still use Dotmailer sparingly, where you can access the COVID-19 mental health improvement networks, our QNIC CAMS group and our QNCC CAMS group. If you're interested in presenting one of our webinars, please do email us again at qnic@rcpsych.ac.uk. This webinar, as we promised, has been recorded and will be uploaded to our CCQR webinars page within the next few days. And as we said, any questions will be posted on our Knowledge Hub discussion forum, where they'll be seen by our entire community. And hopefully someone will have an answer if we do not. Thank you once again to Luke, Tash and Carly-Ann. Thank you for everyone that joined. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.